The Kthar border station hung in space like a tarnished jewel. Its irregular curves and protruding docks a testament to decades of haphazard expansion. Positioned at the edge of Relock Alliance space, it served as a bustling trade hub where a dozen species mingled in chaotic harmony. The station's central promenade teemed with merchants hawking exotic wares from across the galaxy, their voices creating a cacophony that echoed through the recycled air. Zyler Vaughn, a junior security officer of the Relock Protectorate, stared at his console with glazed eyes. Another cycle, another mountain of trivial incident reports to process. His four-fingered hand swiped through the holographic display, dismissing notifications about minor trade disputes and petty thefts. 6 cycles on this assignment had dulled his once keen interest in interspecies relations to mere tolerance. Officer Vaughn, the metallic voice of his supervisor, Commander Laxtil, crackled through his comm unit. Your attention is required in Docking Bay 17. A minor incident. Zyler suppressed a sigh. What kind of incident, Commander? The usual. Some trader claiming customs overcharged them. Just handle it. The young Relock officer stood, adjusting his uniform, a drab gray affair that matched his skin tone almost perfectly. As he made his way through the station's winding corridors, he passed a human diplomatic aide he recognized from the Terran embassy. The humans were relatively new to the galactic community, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 8 decades ago. Their rapid expansion and technological advancement had been met with mixed reactions across the Alliance. Zyler had interacted with Terran Ambassador Elias Vance on several occasions during security briefings. The ambassador was known for his stern demeanor and unflinching stance on protecting Terran interests, but he was fair, perhaps unusually so for a species so young in cosmic terms. After resolving the customs dispute, Zyler returned to his station when an urgent alert flashed across his screen. An unidentified vessel had been detected approaching a small transport ship just outside Kthar's protected space. Before he could alert his superiors, a distress signal blared through the communication channels. Mayday! Mayday! This is the independent research vessel Aurora. We are under attack by what appears to be a Voran raider. Our shields are failing. The transmission cut off abruptly. Zyler's heart raced as he immediately signaled for an emergency response team. The Voran were notorious pirates known for their lightning-fast raids and merciless tactics. They typically targeted vulnerable ships, stripping them of valuables and occasionally taking hostages for ransom. By the time the Relock security vessels reached the location, it was too late. The Aurora was nothing more than a floating hulk of twisted metal, its life support systems destroyed and its cargo hold emptied. The Voran raiders had vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving only destruction in their wake. Zyler joined the investigation team that boarded the wreckage. Among the debris and scattered personal effects, they found the body of the ship's sole occupant, Dr. Eris Thorne, a Terran xenobiologist traveling to a scientific conference. According to the ship's logs, she had been conducting independent research on interspecies genetic compatibility and was planning to present her findings at the conference. Back at the station, Commander Laxtil reviewed Zyler's report with a dismissive flick of his elongated fingers. Unfortunate, but hardly unprecedented. Pirates have always been a risk in this sector. Sir, Zyler said carefully, the victim was a Terran citizen. Shouldn't we notify their embassy immediately? Standard protocols will be followed, Laxtil replied. We'll establish a committee to investigate the incident, determine liability, and then contact the appropriate authorities. A committee, sir? That could take days, even weeks. Precisely. These matters require careful consideration. We don't want to cause an interstellar incident over one unlucky trader who ventured too far from protected space. Laxtil tapped his console, marking the report as pending investigation. Zyler left the commander's office with an unsettling feeling in his gut. Something about the casual dismissal of a sentient being's death didn't sit right with him. While pirate attacks weren't uncommon, the station's response seemed callously bureaucratic even by Relock standards. As Zyler returned to his quarters that evening, he couldn't shake the image of Dr. Thorne's lifeless body among the wreckage. a life dedicated to science and discovery, snuffed out for mere cargo. He accessed the public databases to learn more about her. Dr. Eris Thorne had been respected in her field, with numerous publications on interspecies biology. She had no military or political connections, just a civilian scientist pursuing knowledge. What Zyler didn't know was that news of Dr. Thorne's death had already reached the Terran embassy. Ambassador Elias Vance sat in his sparsely decorated office, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of multiple screens. One displayed a formal notification from the Relock administration about an unfortunate incident involving a Terran citizen, with promises of a thorough investigation in due course. Another showed the complete security logs of the Aurora's final moments, obtained through less official channels. Vance's face remained impassive as he opened a secure channel to Earth. Central Command, this is Ambassador Vance at Cathar Station. We have a code Crimson. I repeat, code Crimson. Citizen Eris Thorne, civilian scientist, confirmed dead following a pirate attack. Perpetrators identified as Vorn raiders. Local authorities displaying typical bureaucratic inertia. Request immediate directive. The response came within minutes, unusually fast given the vast distances involved. Ambassador Vance, Central Command acknowledges Code Crimson. Stand by for direct communication from Fleet Command. Less than an hour later, Vance was speaking directly with Admiral Helena Chun of the Terran Fleet Command. Her image on the secure display showed a woman in her 60s with steel-gray hair and eyes that seemed to evaluate and judge simultaneously. Ambassador, the situation is clear, she said without preamble. The TSS Retribution Battle Group under Captain Rostova is being diverted to your location. You are to issue a formal demand to the Relock authorities, apprehend and surrender the perpetrators within 12 standard hours, or face direct intervention from Terran forces. Understood, Admiral. In compensation, full reparations for Dr. Thorne's family, plus punitive damages for failure to secure their trading routes as per our mutual defense agreement. Vance nodded. The Relock will claim the attack occurred outside their jurisdiction. Then remind them of Clause 7 of our trade agreement, which obligates them to actively pursue pirates who prey on trading partners, regardless of exact coordinates. Admiral Chin's expression hardened. Make it abundantly clear, Ambassador, we do not distinguish between those who kill our citizens and those who shield the killers through inaction. It will be done, Admiral. As the connection terminated, Vance composed an official communique to the Relock High Council on Cathar Station. The message was direct and left no room for diplomatic niceties. Apprehend the Vorn raiders responsible for Dr. Thorne's death within 12 hours, or face severe diplomatic and potentially military consequences. Across the void of space, nearly 6 light-years from Cathar Station, Captain Eva Rostova received her orders aboard the TSS Retribution, a Nemesis-class heavy cruiser that served as the flagship of Battle Group Theta. The sleek, angular vessel represented the pinnacle of Terran military technology, its dark hull absorbing rather than reflecting the light of distant stars. Captain Rostova stood on the bridge, her tall frame straight as a rail as she addressed her senior officers. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a code Crimson. A civilian scientist, Dr. Eris Thorne, was murdered by Vorn pirates near Cathar Station. The local Relock authorities are dragging their feet. She gestured to the tactical display, showing their current position in Cathar Station. We're executing an emergency jump to the Cathar system. All departments, prepare for combat operations. I want weapons hot and strike teams ready for deployment the moment we arrive. Her executive officer, Commander Salazar, studied the display with a frown. Captain, even with our fastest jump calculations, we need at least 30 hours to reach Cathar. Rostova's lips curved into a cold smile. Then it's fortunate that Fleet Intelligence has been testing new jump coordinates for this very region, isn't it? Navigation, implement jump protocol Omega 7. Omega 7, Captain? Those coordinates haven't been fully verified. They have been verified enough, Commander. The Ambassador's ultimatum expires in 12 hours. We will be there before it does. Her tone brooked no further discussion. All hands, Prepare for jump in 30 minutes. As the Retribution and its accompanying vessels, 3 destroyers and a complement of support craft. Prepared for the jump, activity aboard the ship intensified. Marines checked and rechecked their weapons and armor. Intelligence officers compiled dossiers on the Voorn raiders and potential relock collaborators. Medical teams prepared for potential casualties. In her private quarters, Captain Rostova reviewed Dr. Thorne's profile. A brilliant scientist with no connection to the military, traveling alone to share knowledge that could benefit multiple species. The captain's jaw tightened. This wasn't just about enforcing Terran policy, this was about justice. Back at Kthar Station, Ambassador Vance's ultimatum sent shockwaves through the Relock administration. High Counselor Emiviak, the station's civilian leader, convened an emergency session that quickly devolved into chaos. "This is preposterous," exclaimed Council Member Dreth. "They expect us to find and capture a notoriously elusive pirate band in half a cycle, and they threaten us with military action over one dead alien. The Terrans are known for their excessive responses when their citizens are harmed," cautioned another counselor, Tilavis, the head of diplomatic relations. "Remember the Arcturus incident 3 cycles ago?" Several counselors shifted uncomfortably. The incident at Arcturus mining colony, where a human mining engineer had been killed in what was ruled an accident, had resulted in a Terran corporate security force occupying the entire facility until those responsible were identified and surrendered for Terran justice. "That was different," Dreth insisted. "This is a sovereign relock station, not some corporate outpost. They wouldn't dare bring military force against us." High Counselor Miviak raised a hand for silence. "I've reviewed their communique carefully. The Terrans are not bluffing. Their demands are precise, and their deadline is firm." He turned to the security chief. "What progress have we made in tracking the Voorn?" Commander Laxtil fidgeted. "We've increased patrols and contacted our informants, but the Voorn are experts at disappearing. And frankly, High Counselor, we lack the resources for a full-scale hunt. Then requisition additional resources." MEVX snapped. "And contact neighboring systems for assistance. We cannot afford to appear uncooperative." As the council argued, word of the ultimatum spread throughout the station. Merchants began securing their goods and preparing emergency evacuation plans. Other species watched the humans at the Terran embassy with new wariness, noting how the previously sociable staff had suddenly become all business, their movements precise and purposeful. Zyler Vaughn, still troubled by the handling of Dr. Thorne's death, heard whispers of the Terran ultimatum while on patrol. Curious and increasingly concerned, he made his way to a tavern frequented by long-haul transport crews, a place where information flowed as freely as the intoxicants. In a dimly lit corner, he found an old acquaintance, Nixera, a Centaurian trader who had traveled extensively through Terran space. The four-armed, scale-skinned alien beckoned Zyler to join her. "I hear the humans are on the warpath," Nixera said without preamble, her voice a melodic hiss. "Over that scientist." Zyler took a seat, ordering a mild stimulant drink. The council is taking it seriously, but surely the Terrans wouldn't attack a relock station over one death? It would violate multiple treaties. Nixera's laugh was like glass breaking. "You younglings never learn. The humans don't think like the rest of us. To them, every single one of their kind is valuable, irreplaceable, even. Did you know they maintain a policy they call no one left behind? Their military will expend extraordinary resources to recover even a single corpse." "That seems inefficient," Zyler commented. "Perhaps, but it also means every human knows their species will move mountains to protect or avenge them." She leaned closer. 3 cycles ago, I was docked at Rigel Prime when a human trade delegation was detained on spurious smuggling charges. Within 20 hours, 3 Terran warships appeared in orbit. No threats, no demands. They simply waited, weapons powered down, but obviously ready. The delegation was released with apologies within the hour. "You're saying the threat is real. I'm saying you should prepare for the possibility that there will be a Terran battle group in this system before the next cycle." Nyxera's eyes narrowed. And if I were you, I'd distance myself from Commander Laxtil. Word in the shadows is that he's taken payments to look the other way when certain ships come and go. Xyler's skin paled slightly. You think he's connected to the Voorn? I think there's a reason the Voorn operate so freely in this sector. She drained her drink. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a suddenly urgent delivery several systems away. As Nyxera left, Xyler remained, troubled by both her warnings and her insinuations. Could his own commander be complicit in enabling the very pirates who had killed Dr. Thorne? The thought was disturbing, but not entirely surprising. Corruption was an unfortunate reality in border stations where oversight was minimal. Moving through the promenade, Xyler noticed a distinct change in atmosphere. Many shops were closing early, their owners hastily packing valuable merchandise. Non-essential personnel from various embassies were quietly boarding transports. The station, usually vibrant even during rest cycles, felt tense and subdued. At the 12-hour mark of the Terran ultimatum, Ambassador Vance received a message from High Counselor Emivic requesting an extension and outlining the efforts being made to locate the Voorn raiders. The message was diplomatic but essentially a delaying tactic, containing no concrete progress or commitments. Vance's response was terse. The deadline stands. Terran forces are en route. This simple statement sent a new wave of panic through the Relock leadership. Their long-range sensors had detected no approaching vessels, and according to their understanding of Terran jump capabilities, no ships could reach Cthar for at least another day. Many began to suspect the ambassador was bluffing. They were wrong. At precisely 14 hours after the initial ultimatum, alarms blared throughout Cthar Station. The impossible had happened. A Terran battle group had emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the system. The TSS Retribution led the formation, its massive silhouette dwarfing its escort vessels. On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Rostova surveyed the tactical display showing Cthar Station and the nearby Relock outposts. Communications, open a channel to all frequencies used in this system. Channel open, Captain. Rostova stood, her uniform crisp and her expression resolute. This is Captain Eva Rostova of the Terran security ship Retribution. By authority of Terran Central Command, I am establishing a no-fly zone around Cthar Station and all Relock territory in this system. Any vessel attempting to leave or enter without explicit Terran clearance will be intercepted or disabled. This measure will remain in effect until those responsible for the murder of Dr. Eris Thorne are surrendered to Terran custody. She paused, letting her words sink in. To the leadership of Cthar Station, you have 2 hours to comply with Ambassador Vance's demands. After that time, we will commence targeted operations against any facility suspected of harboring or supporting the Voorn pirates. We have no desire for broader conflict, but make no mistake, justice for Dr. Thorne is non-negotiable. As the message reverberated through every corner of the station, panic erupted. The trading floor descended into chaos as merchants and visitors scrambled to secure transport off the station, only to discover that all departures had been suspended. Security personnel rushed to maintain order, but they were overwhelmed by the surge of frightened beings. In the council chambers, the atmosphere had shifted from skepticism to terror. Several counselors who had dismissed the Terran threats now paled as they watched the tactical display showing the battle group's formation. "How did they get here so quickly?" demanded Counselor Dreth. His earlier bravado evaporated. "Our best estimates put their nearest forces at least 26 hours away. Evidently, we underestimated their jump technology," High Counselor Idiak replied grimly. "The question now is how we respond. We must show strength," insisted the military representative, General Volume 10. "We have defensive capabilities. We could—" "Are you suggesting we fire upon a Terran battle group?" interrupted Tilavis, aghast. "That would be suicide. Their weapons technology outmatches ours significantly. We cannot simply surrender to their demands," General Volume 10 countered. "It would make us appear weak before all species in the sector." High Counselor Emivic rubbed his temples, a gesture of extreme stress among his species. I believe we may already appear weak for allowing pirates to operate so freely in our space that they would dare attack a ship carrying a citizen of a major power. He turned to Commander Laxtil, who had been unusually quiet. Commander, assemble your best teams. You have 90 minutes to locate and apprehend the Voorn responsible for this incident. Commander Laxtil hesitated. High Counselor, with all due respect, the Voorn could be anywhere in. Do not tell me what cannot be done. Emivik slammed his fist on the table. Either we deliver these pirates to the Terrans, or we face potential orbital bombardment. Find them. As the council dispersed, Xyler Vaughn was already 2 steps ahead. Following Nixera's hint about Commander Laxtil's possible corruption, he had discreetly accessed security logs tracking the commander's communications and found several encrypted exchanges with an unregistered account based in the station's lower levels, an area notorious for its lawlessness. Acting on his own initiative, Xyler gathered 3 security officers he trusted and briefed them on his suspicions. This isn't an official operation, he warned them. If I'm wrong, it could end our careers. But if I'm right, we might save countless lives. The small team made their way to the lower levels, avoiding the main corridors where panicked crowds were still forming. The dimly lit maintenance tunnels led them to a section, officially designated for storage, but practically abandoned by station oversight. Outside a nondescript door, Xyler activated his scanner. Multiple life signs inside. At least 7 individuals, mixed species. Energy readings consistent with weapons. He distributed stun grenades to his team. Remember, we need them alive. They breached the door with practiced efficiency. The stun grenades temporarily disoriented the room's occupants, a mix of Voorn pirates and their local associates. In the ensuing firefight, 2 of the pirates were wounded, but the relock security team managed to subdue and restrain all present. Among the captives was Kralvor, the notorious leader of the Voorn Raider group. A data terminal in the hideout contained incontrovertible evidence of their recent attack on the Aurora, including footage they had recorded of the assault and items stolen from Dr. Thorne's ship. Most damning of all, they found communications proving Commander Laxtil had been paid to ensure security patrols avoided certain sectors during planned Voorn raids. The commander had effectively enabled the pirates' operations for years, including the attack that killed Dr. Thorne. Xyler immediately reported their findings to High Counselor Emivik, bypassing the regular chain of command. Emivik, recognizing the gravity of the situation, ordered Commander Laxtil's immediate arrest and personally contacted Ambassador Vance to report that the Voorn raiders had been apprehended. Ambassador Vance's response was measured. This is a positive development, High Counselor. Captain Rostova will send a shuttle to collect the prisoners for trial under Terran law. We will also require all evidence relating to their crimes, particularly the attack on Dr. Thorne's vessel. Of course, Ambassador, Emivik agreed readily. And what of your blockade? It remains in effect until Captain Rostova is satisfied that all responsible parties have been apprehended. I understand you've also arrested one of your own security commanders for collusion with these pirates. Emivik hesitated only briefly. Yes, the evidence appears conclusive. Then he will be included in the transfer, Vance stated firmly. Terran justice applies equally to those who enable such crimes. Before Emivik could protest, the ambassador continued. Additionally, Captain Rostova is dispatching technical and security teams to Cathar Station. They will conduct a thorough audit of your security protocols and assist in identifying any remaining criminal elements connected to this case. This is non-negotiable if you wish the blockade lifted. The High Counselor recognized defeat when he saw it. We will cooperate fully, Ambassador. Within the hour, a Terran shuttle docked at Cathar's main bay. A contingent of Terran Marines in full combat armor disembarked, their movements precise and their weapons conspicuously ready. They took custody of Kralvor, his Voorn associates, and the disgraced Commander Laxtil, who maintained a stony silence as he was led away in restraints. Following the Marines came teams of Terran technical specialists and intelligence officers. Unlike the intimidating martial presence of the Marines, these personnel were courteous but firm as they set up operations in a commandeered section of the station's security center. Captain Rostova herself arrived shortly after, accompanied by a small security detail. The captain's presence on the station, rather than remaining aboard her vessel, was both a show of confidence and a clear message. The Terrans were not afraid, and they were in control of the situation. In a brief but pointed meeting with High Counselor Emiviak and his remaining senior staff, Captain Rostova outlined the path forward. My teams will remain on Kthar Station for 1 standard week. During that time, they will work with your personnel to identify and eliminate any remaining elements of the criminal network that supported the Voorn. She handed a data pad to Emiviak. This is a security cooperation agreement. It formalizes our expectations regarding the protection of Terran citizens in relock space and establishes protocols for responding to incidents like the attack on Dr. Thorne's vessel. Emiviak skimmed the document, his expression carefully neutral despite the obviously one-sided terms. This would give Terran forces significant latitude to operate in our sovereign territory. It gives us the ability to protect our people when local authorities fail to do so, Rostova corrected. Your sovereignty remains intact, High Counselor, but it comes with responsibilities. Chief among them is ensuring that those who transit your space can do so without fear of being murdered for their cargo. With little choice, Emiviak applied his authorization, effectively ceding significant security oversight to the Terrans, at least where their citizens were concerned. Over the following days, Kthar Station underwent a transformation. The Terran technical teams, working alongside cooperative relock security personnel, overhauled surveillance systems, patrol protocols, and information-sharing networks. Corrupt officials were identified and removed. Hidden pirate safe houses were exposed and raided. Zyler Vaughn, recognized for his initiative in capturing the Voorn, was assigned as liaison to the Terran security forces. Initially, he approached the role with trepidation, expecting to find the humans arrogant and militaristic. Instead, he was struck by their professionalism and efficiency. They were firm, yes, and utterly unyielding on matters of principle, but they were also fair. They didn't seek to humiliate the relock or assert dominance beyond what was necessary to ensure their citizens' safety. During one joint patrol, Zyler worked alongside Lieutenant Mira Kapoor, a Terran security specialist. As they moved through a recently secured sector of the lower levels, he voiced a question that had been troubling him. "Lieutenant, may I ask you something? About your species' response to Dr. Thorne's death." Kapoor nodded. "Go ahead. The resources committed, the risks taken. For one civilian scientist, is this truly standard procedure for Terrans?" The lieutenant considered his question carefully. "Officer Vaughn, throughout our history on Earth, humans have learned harsh lessons about the value of individual lives. Societies that sacrifice their people easily, that treat them as expendable, ultimately destroy themselves from within." She paused as they passed a group of station residents, waiting until they were alone again. "When we ventured into space and encounter other species, we saw how some treat their citizens as mere resources, replaceable and disposable. We decided that would never be our way. Every human life matters, whether they're a high-ranking official or an ordinary scientist like Dr. Thorne. But the cost is irrelevant," she interrupted firmly, "because the alternative cost is greater. If we ever stopped responding this way, if we ever signaled that killing a human would be met with bureaucracy instead of swift justice, the deaths would multiply. Our response isn't just about one life. It's about all future lives that are protected by the certainty of our reaction." Zyler reflected on this philosophy. It was so different from the relock approach, which carefully weighed costs against benefits, often at the expense of immediate action. There was something admirable in the Terran certainty, their unwavering commitment to protecting their own. On the 6th day of the Terran presence, a formal tribunal was convened aboard the TSS Retribution. Kralvor and his Voorn associates, along with Commander Laxtil, stood trial for their roles in Dr. Thorne's death and numerous other attacks on civilian vessels. The proceedings were broadcast throughout Kthar Station. Many residents watched with a mix of curiosity and unease as the Terran justice system efficiently presented evidence, evaluated testimony, and rendered verdicts. The tribunal was neither vindictive nor theatrical, just methodical and thorough. All defendants were found guilty. The Voarn pirates were sentenced to life imprisonment at a Terran penal colony. Commander Laxtil received a similar sentence. His betrayal of his duty considered equally culpable as the pirates' direct actions. After the tribunal, Captain Rostova addressed the assembled Relok leadership one final time. The sentences have been carried out according to Terran law, as is our right when our citizens are harmed. The perpetrators will serve their sentences at the Proxima detention facility. She gestured to the view screen showing the Retribution and its escort vessels. We will withdraw our battle group tomorrow, as agreed. A permanent Terran liaison office will remain on Cathar Station to ensure ongoing cooperation and security for our citizens. High Counselor Imiviak nodded in acknowledgement. The past week had been humiliating for the Relok leadership, but he recognized that their society had also benefited from the exposure and elimination of corruption within their ranks. Captain Rostova, he said formally, the Relok Alliance acknowledges the justice of your actions. We regret the circumstances that made them necessary and commit to ensuring such a tragedy does not occur again. Rostova's expression softened marginally. High Counselor, I believe you mean that. And I hope your successors remember this moment if they are ever tempted to return to old patterns. She extended her hand in the Terran gesture of agreement. We prefer peaceful cooperation when it's possible. Imiviak hesitantly took her hand, the unfamiliar gesture sealing what both knew was not quite an equal partnership, but perhaps the beginning of a more honest relationship. As promised, the Terran battle group withdrew the next day, their departure as sudden as their arrival. Cathar Station gradually returned to its usual rhythms, though with a noticeably improved security presence and more transparent administration. Xyler Vaughn found himself promoted to acting security chief, a position he accepted with both pride and trepidation. His first official act was to establish a direct communication protocol with the new Terran liaison office, ensuring that concerns about citizen safety of any species would be addressed promptly. In his new office, once occupied by the disgraced Commander Laxtil, Xyler reflected on how quickly everything had changed. A single death, one Terran scientist, had triggered a response that transformed the power dynamics of the entire sector. The message to all species was unmistakable. The harm of even one human civilian would bring swift, overwhelming consequences. As he prepared for his first official briefing as acting chief, Xyler noticed a small package on his desk. Inside was a data crystal and a note written in careful Relok script. The research of Dr. Eris Thorn, too important to be lost. From the Embassy of Terra, with appreciation for your integrity. Xyler activated the crystal and discovered it contained Dr. Thorn's complete research on interspecies genetic compatibility, work that could potentially benefit numerous species, including his own. Even in death, her contribution to knowledge would continue. Perhaps, he thought, there was something to be learned from the Terran philosophy after all. Not just about the value of each life, but about the clarity of purpose that came from such unwavering principles. Outside his window, Cathar Station continued its endless orbit. Trade resumed, beings of dozens of species went about their business, and ships came and went through the jump gates. But beneath the familiar routine lay a new understanding, a recalibration of power and expectations. The death of an unknown Terran scientist had changed everything, and no one who witnessed the response would ever forget the lesson. When they killed a human civilian, the Terran fleet responded in hours, and nothing had been the same since.